Johnson heads to the pocket. Layup. Johnson, good.
The sun is brighter in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Both Southern, LSU, Tulane won. Everybody's winning in college football. Could be a good year for college football again. We'll talk about that throughout the show. No question about that. A lot of great things that happened this past weekend that we talk about. LSU Clemson, obviously the big thing we're going to start with. We're going to talk about Southern and their win over Valley. Also, we'll talk about the Saints getting ready for Game 1 of the 2025 season against the Arizona Cardinals. And we'll talk about other things that are going on and what have you. But first, let's start with LSU and Clemson. By the way, everybody, I'm Chris Powers, talking sports with me, Chris Powers. Jonathan in the house. Of course, we're going to talk sports all throughout the show, the hour, the next hour. And the Battle of Death Valley, let me tell you, so I think it was overhyped. That's a pitch that TV tries to do, a hook line, try to get you in further. We'll try everything. Doesn't matter if it's a top 10 matchup. Doesn't matter if it's a Battle of the Tigers. It's a Battle of Death Valley? Come on. No, it wasn't. Death Valley in Clemson is fine. I'm going to tell you what. No, it's actually very good. It's in my top 10. It was a very good atmosphere. My sister and my brother did not like the way they come on the bus. Is that cheap on them? No, it's tradition. It's one of the greatest entries. I like it. I like that. In all the sports, I love it. I know the football players hate it, coming up with their shoulder pads on. As big as they are, they got their shoulder pads. They can barely fit two in a seat. I understand. But it is a nice tradition, them going around the stadium from west to east or east to west. It's just unbelievable. I like that. The crowd was loud. Everything was great. But it's still not Tiger Stadium here in Baton Rouge. I mean, LSU, out of 10 magazines, 9.5 of them have LSU as the greatest atmosphere. And it's not just because of the crowd. It's not because of neck. It's because of the tailgating before the game starts. It's the atmosphere throughout the game. That makes it unbelievable. Clemson fans are going to know that next week. When they come to LSU, they'll know that. They ought to know that from LSU, from the Superdome when they had the 2019 was in 2020, but the 19th season for the national championship. They should know that. We are a very passionate fan base, more passionate than anybody. Saints have one of the best fan bases. How loud it is in the Superdome, Tiger Stadium. That's why they call it Deaf Dome. In the days that Dale Brown was dominating and what have you, Deaf Dome, you couldn't even hear yourself think in that building. So, to me, I just knocked it out. Battle of the Death Valley. Let's get out of here with that. It was such a great game already anyway. You didn't need to have that hook line. I think the offensive line did a good job. I think the play calling by Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, was even better. I mean, I loved the misdirections. I loved the jet sweeps. I loved all of that stuff. They did a perfect job. And, for instance, misdirection play. You have the tight end Green going across the line in motion. And then you have running back Cade Durham, when the ball is snapped, go that direction too. All the defense moved to that direction, and that was to the left side of the offensive line. They all moved to that direction. And then Aaron Anderson did perfect. He acted like he was going to sit there and block for a split second, and then he went on a crossing route, and bam. They hit him on the crossing route. He went for several yards. Anderson's unbelievable. Anderson, Ocho Cinco was on that podcast, and come on, what's his name? He got in trouble. Shannon Sharp, and saying that LSU's wide receiver, but they don't have a wide receiver that stands out. I beg to differ. Aaron Anderson stands out. Baron Brown stands out. I'm telling you, they got some good receivers on this football team. They did other things, though, to win. They weren't selfish, and I'll explain that a little later on, too. But I thought that play was absolutely magical. The way they did that. I mean, that was unbelievable. I liked also the jet sweeps, as I mentioned. I also liked putting Xavier Thomas at running back. The only problem they did with that, though, they kept running to the right side. The same gap. I think it was the B gap. I think they kept going to the B gap. You can't keep doing that at all times. You got to mix it up a little bit. That's the only thing they didn't do well that game as far as offensive play calling. So that's the only thing I would give out with that. Though I do think the offensive line, though, wore down Clemson in the second half. from the first half, and in the second half, you could see the defensive line was being pushed backwards. I think the defensive line did a great job pushing their offensive line back. I think it was a very physical football game. This is what Brian Kelly wanted to do. And for those of you squirrels out there who think that Brian Kelly should still be gone, go cheer for Mississippi State. Don't cheer for LSU anymore. Go cheer for somebody else. You think Brian Kelly would go to Mississippi State or an Ole Miss or something like that? Go cheer for somebody else, because I like our coach. I like Brian Kelly. I think he's a fabulous coach. Listen how he breaks down. He reminds me of Nick Saban. Listen how he breaks down. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win championships like Nick Saban, but he breaks down the game to perfection in his press conferences, period. I think the guy is a great coach, and I want him to stay. The two fumbles, the fumble by Sharp, gave them 3 points. But I'll say this, and Kelly brought it up in his press conference yesterday, or it was on the Paul Feinbaum show. And this was pretty cool. So he fumbled the football, and if he didn't get up to go and make the tackle to the guy who recovered the ball, that's a touchdown for Clemson. That's an all new different game. He had the knowledge to get up and hurry up and make that tackle, the shoelace tackle, and it knocked him down. Also, the fumble by Hilton Jr. just hurt, obviously, with with us scoring. We could have either gotten a field goal or we could have gotten a touchdown at that point, and that was right before the half. Same thing also with the play call. Kelly admitted that he was wrong on that. Analytics, I wish the coaches would stop doing the analytics thing. Analytics said they need to go for it instead of the field goal, and that was a mistake they made because they only had 15 seconds left. Okay, before that, when Hilton fumbled the ball, before Hilton fumbled the football, they should have went for the field goal. But you take the points. You got 15 seconds left. You got 1 timeout. Take the points. I don't give a damn what analytics say. Use it in your mind. Be a good play manager, a game manager. That's what Sean Payton was. Sean Payton was the best game manager, period. He wasn't good on the red flags, the challenge flags. But on game manager, Sean Payton was right on key, man. He was right on key. So that hurt our drive there as well. But they had problems with formation in the beginning of the game, and it's because of the crowd and because it was the first game jitters. So I can understand that. The touchdown catch that's supposed to be was ruled incomplete. Kelly said he talked to the officials about that, and the way that the rule is set was the correct call on the field. However, that needs to be changed. When you catch a football and you're running and you have 2 steps in, that to me should be a catch. So what happened in that situation is when he caught the football and he crossed the pylon, that's a touchdown. That's the same thing if you go back in the Super Bowl and Moore held the ball over the goal line for the 2-point conversion, and then the ball was knocked out. As long as you have possession enough to have it over the line, that's a touchdown. That's a dumb call. We got to get that straight. This stuff with the is it a catch? Did the ground help you with the catch and crap? You ought to be able to be smart enough to know the difference between that. That was a touchdown. There's no doubt, no ifs and buts about it. But the way they've got the rules, it's not. So the correct call was made on the field. We don't like it, and I don't like it. But that's the way that it was. Defense was outstanding. Get this, Clemson had 12 yards rushing in the second half. They finished with 31 for the whole game. 12 yards. I mean, their offensive line was supposed to be unbelievable. Our tackling was unbelievable. They swarmed to it. Everything was great. They had 261 total yards offense. Clemson, the number 4 team of the nation at that point. Now they're still in the top 10. With the loss, they're still in the top 10. Harold Perkins also. Harold Perkins is back, baby. Obviously, with that last, play that he rushed the quarterback and almost got him, and he had to hurry up and throw it. It was incomplete. But you could see Harold Perkins how fast. Did you see how fast Harold Perkins was coming from the linebacker spot? How fast he closed out on the quarterback? That's what's going to make him a pro. That's why pro people go crazy over this guy. This guy is unbelievable. Mansour Delane had 2 pass breakups and a big interception. He got the game ball at the end of the game in the locker room. He did a great job. A great job. And A.J. Halsey, that's the biggest safety I've ever seen in my life. That dude is huge. And what's better than that is not only just is he huge, he is a quarterback back there in the defensive backfield. He communicates. If you watch the Netflix series, you see Kelly yelling at one of his cornerbacks and saying, what did you say to him? Did you communicate with him? You got to have communication back there. And that guy, Halsey, is a communication. He is a key back there. He is a massive key back there of playing in the safety spot. He's not just huge. This guy is big for a safety. Usually they're small. Honey badger, they're about that size. Because usually when you get taller and you're backpedaling or you're running or what have you, you don't necessarily have the ability. You look like a newborn giraffe. But he is rangy. I loved him a lot. I thought the Weeks brothers both playing together played very good. Good to see them on the football field for the first time since high school. They played excellent together. Both of them play almost the same, big time. Witt is a little bit better tackler and a little bit more motor. That's why he's the captain. Unbelievable. Nussmeier, great game manager. Great game manager. And I think, Jonathan, what got me, what made NFL scouts probably go crazy, was that throw running to his right, and he threw across his body, and that was absolutely perfect to Kyle Parker. And Kyle Parker caught the football at about the 7 or 8 yard line and moved to the 5, made it first down and goal. And LSU would score on that one. That was a beautiful pass. It had zip on it. He throws a perfect spiral. Everything is perfect for that. I think everything was great. I want to get Jonathan's thoughts because Jonathan's great evaluator of everything. And Jonathan, we said at the beginning of the game that if LSU won this game, it could be a 2019 national championship team. It could be the Texas game that propelled them in that championship. I know you had to be happy and kind of somewhat surprised at the way LSU played in that ball game.
Well, sure. Last week on your show, Chris, I picked Clemson was going to win. I thought going into it, the offensive line was going to be a huge question mark for LSU. Clemson obviously has a lot of NFL talent on their defensive line, but Braylon Moore absolutely dominated from the center position. Not only his one-on-one matchups, but getting his offensive line in the right checks the entire game. We would have thrown the coaches under the bus if they had a struggle moving the football with the same old game plan that was very uncreative last year. And all offseason, we heard about how this run game was going to be more creative, and they showed it really early. You brought up Xavier Thomas getting handoffs at the backfield. I love that look. He was very effective. He's a natural runner with the football. I agree with you. I thought they went to the well one too many times. Could have worked the play action off of that because that play call was so effective. You talked about the middle string to Aaron Anderson. I thought that was unbelievable. Aaron Anderson leads the Tigers in receptions and reception yards. He had 99 on the game against Clemson. I thought he'd get into the end zone on that one he broke. But look, that guy is an electric ball player, and they're going to keep on feeding him the whole season. You heard about the wide receivers all season, off season, how deep this receiver room really was, and the dynamic playmakers they have. And trust me, they are all very skilled, can run and catch the football. But I thought they did a great job, and Coach Brian Kelly even gave him a shout-out, blocking downfield for the run game. You saw it with the very first play of the game. Caden Durham put his foot in the ground, shook off one tackler. Was tough to bring down for a little guy. He certainly runs hard. And I thought LSU kind of leaned on him to set up that play action. And I thought Barry and Brown scored a touchdown. And if Auburn can claim 9 national titles in a random week in August, then in my mind, Barry and Brown could always score his first touchdown against Clemson on primetime. And truly, Chris, my last takeaway, outside of both play callers, offense and defense, Blake Baker dialed up an absolute gem of a game, blitz from a lot of exotic places, had those transfers on the D-line come in and play their role. Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, just to name a couple. Bernard Gooden also had a great game. But, yeah, when you work it all together and you have a leader like Garrett Nussmeier, and that's where it all starts. He was so poised. His decision-making, got the ball out so quick. 2.14 was the average release time, getting the ball out of his hands. When he plays like that, LSU is going to be very tough to beat. Get it to the playmakers in space. Let them do what they do with the football. But just to calm under pressure. You talked about Death Valley and what school was the real Death Valley. I thought Garrett Nussmeier played like he knew Baton Rouge has the real Death Valley, undeterred by the fans. And they were raucous. It was a great environment. Had the team run down the hill, which I can't understand why they still let them do that. How has nobody gotten hurt before a big game coming down that hill? But really, the biggest story to me was Garrett Nussmeier putting himself as the elite college football quarterback in this class. The way he shredded that Clemson defense, knowing exactly where his check down was on every play, getting his offense into the right run call when he had to audible. I just thought it was a masterclass of college football, and Garrett Nussmeier is definitely front runner for Heisman right now. If he continues to play like this, LSU is going to be very tough to beat.
Yeah, no question about that. I thought the energy for LSU was absolutely unbelievable. I thought the confidence of LSU was unbelievable. We haven't seen that since 2019. Because remember when everybody left from Accesses in 2019 was drafted to the NFL? It's like they didn't want to be there anymore. Chase didn't play. And who was a cornerback that went to the Houston Texans? Stingley. Derek Stingley Jr. was hurt, got hurt early on with a foot problem.
Yeah.
And for a quarterback, that hurts.
Yep.
I mean, when you got a foot problem or a turf toe, you ain't being mobile like you're supposed to be because you're backpedaling. But I thought that the confidence level and the energy was something, and the whole game long, we haven't seen since 2019. Now, Kelly said that has to come back to this game too. Every game we have to bring it. We have to bring it every game, period. And that includes this week with Louisiana Tech, and in 2 weeks when they play against, or 3 weeks when they play against Southeastern. You got to bring it. You got to bring it. And that's what I'm going to. So my deal is, Jonathan, this. I think I've told you before. So when LSU in 2003 played Georgia in Tiger Stadium, it was a great game. It was a close football game. Shockley had to come in at quarterback. I was there for game day to watch game day. I was at Cafe de Monde with my girlfriend till 2 a.m. in the morning. And I talked to Georgia fans that were there, and Georgia fans were like, I'm going to Tiger Stadium, man. And they were so going crazy that they were going to be in Tiger Stadium the next day. So I woke up early that morning and went to game day. I can't do that now. I'm too damn old. Went to game day that morning and went to the game, watch LSU Georgia, a close game. But when they played them again in the SEC championship game, Georgia players and coaches were saying LSU from that regular season game to the championship game was night and day. You saw how LSU's defense improved in 2019. From the beginning of the year when they let Texas score all those points, all the way to the end when they shut down Clemson, they shut down Georgia, and they shut down Oklahoma. They had CeeDee Lamb, Oklahoma did, for God's sakes. And he could play in the first half, but he shut him down in the second half. Done. That defense got better. The offense got better as time went on. So if LSU looked this good at the beginning of the season, what the hell do you think they're going to look like in the middle of the season and down to the end of the season? And Kelly, and it's another way. How can LSU fans team up with Notre Dame fans when it comes to getting on Brian Kelly? He's our coach, all right? But what got me good about Brian Kelly, you know what he said? He said, I know that down the line we're going to have to deal with injuries. He said that in the press conference yesterday. We're going to have to deal with injuries. And it's how we respond to that with our depth. This guy's thinking ahead. I'm going to probably cry almost like a baby, like when Porter got that interception for Peyton Manning when Brian Kelly wins the national championship. Because he deserves one. He deserves one. He deserves one. And going, by the way, we got lucky. That was a pick six because who was it?
Will Smith.
Will Smith hit Peyton Manning in the back. It was blocking behind the back. We got lucky that it was a pick six. Will Smith, the late, great Will Smith. It's so weird still to remember he's gone. Isn't that crazy to think about he's gone? But anyway, LSU, unbelievable. I think we're in for a great season. I'm going to talk about their positioning in the AP and the coaches poll. We'll talk about that a little later on in the show, what I think is going to happen later on coming up. So we'll talk about that. Southern University got their first big win of the season, already week 2. They're looking for week 3 this week. That's how fast the season goes. Me and Coach Pete Richardson talk about that. We talk about that all the time when we say that we're doing the first game, and before you know it, we blink our eye and we're in the Bayou Classic. Just like that. That's how fast fall goes. We'll talk about Southern, Mississippi Valley State, and a big opponent this week. We'll do that when we come back as we're talking sports with me, Chris Powers. Marty's in the house, Jonathan in the house. Back after this time out right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
For a lot of people, going to the dentist brings anxiety. It can feel cold, rushed, even intimidating. We get it. That's why we built something different. We take the time, we listen, we know your name and your story because you're more than just a patient, you're family. You don't have to dread the dentist. You just need the right one. Call or visit FougerFamilyDentistry.com to schedule.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Talking sports with me, Chris Powers. You know, I was at Mississippi Valley State this week, and I'll tell you this right now. I'll be blunt. They shouldn't host a game at all, ever. Their stadium didn't look bad. It's 10,000-seat stadium. Have a brand-new field that looks nice. They have a big scoreboard that looks nice, too. They should never host a game. They were going to put us on the roof. My phone was frying already as soon as I got on the roof. That's how hot it was. It was 90-degree weather. Doing play-by-play from the roof, okay? And, I mean, outside, no cover. No cover. Which means my equipment would have fried on the spot too, okay? So with that being said, I looked all over for Ethernet line up there because no Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi was bad there in the middle of nowhere. No Wi-Fi. And the hotspot I can use, I can hook up my tie line to the hotspot on my phone. That didn't work either because we were in the middle of nowhere, okay? The Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough to be able to connect to the Wi-Fi. So you have to use a hardline Ethernet line. So I'm glad there wasn't one up there. I went downstairs into the booth looking all over for one. I found one with 37 minutes to go before my pregame show. You know how rushed that is with you? And when you're doing that, if you've never done a ball game, it's tough. So 37 minutes before pregame, I did it, got it on, set the equipment up, everything was good. With no Wi-Fi, they had no replay. No replay. That's an NCAA rule violation. That's a SWAC rule violation. They didn't get that ready. They knew the game was coming. That was a last-minute deal. Well, we can't do the game at Southern. Let's do it at Mississippi Valley State. They knew the game several years in advance when the schedule was made out. And they didn't get ready for this game. Shame on them. The SID showed up 45 minutes before the kickoff. Before the kickoff. Everybody was asking Wi-Fi passwords. Everybody was asking this and that. Nobody to answer that. Nobody in there but except people that clean up. Shame on them. Shame on them. No replay that would have been there needed for the hit on the quarterback. He was hit hard and in the face. So they go to the instant replay monitor, and that's when they found out there's no replay. Unbelievable. Jalen Woods, luckily, is okay. He suffered a mild concussion. When he was running, he was hit just as he was going to slide. he was hit like this, is what I could see from my angle. Hit with the forearms, not with the head. I don't know if that's true or not, because guess what another problem I had, Jonathan? I was going to clean my binoculars before the game, and I've had these binoculars forever. The lens fell down into the binoculars. So a play-by-play guy without binoculars is like a construction guy without a hammer. That's how tough that was. So I had no – and the numbers are hard to read. From where you're sitting, the spot people, the stat people had trouble reading the numbers. They didn't have Holly for any yards in the first half. They didn't have him as an attempt. They had to change that. But that's how hard it is to read those numbers. But with no Wi-Fi, they couldn't get the replay, so they couldn't kick anybody out of the game or anything. Now, Coach Banks has got it with the SWAC, and they're trying to see if it was a targeting foul, and a guy will be suspended, whatever, but the game is over. So Jalen Woods, get this, his second concussion in 4 games. That's scary. I don't believe he'll play this week. He's on a concussion protocol. Remember last year he was in a concussion protocol for the SWAC championship game. He got a concussion during the Bayou Classic. That's scary. So Southern made an improvement from week 1 to week 2. That's no question. Now it was against Valley. It wasn't against North Carolina Central. It was against Valley. So they made an improvement from week 1 to week 2. Camroy McCoy continued to get better as well. He threw the ball a little bit better. He still overthrew passes, and Coach Graves told me he missed open receivers. That's a problem. But he had one seam pass. It was a perfect touchdown to the wide receiver. Perfect touchdown. And still a little bit over, but the receiver made, a great fingertip grab. Running backs had 2 fumbles that resulted in 10 points. Holly had a fumble, and Franklin had a fumble. Mike Franklin. Both were injured. Both came back into the ball game. But both of their 2 big running backs fumbled the football. That obviously cannot happen. Defense has still work to do. They gave up 296 total yards. That's not like the old defense before. Now, they didn't give over 200 yards in passing. Over 300. I think they gave 218. They didn't give over 100 yards in rushing as a total team, though. That's good. They stopped the run better. But again, how good is Mississippi Valley State? Southern, I think, has potential to be a very good football team. Roster-wise, I think they can very much compete in the SWAC. Valley, and Valley played better. They only lost by 5. They would not go away. But guess who else played good against another opponent, and they wouldn't go away? Alabama State and UAB. So Alabama State threw a touchdown with 4-something left in the game. I think it was like 4:18 left in the game to be only down by 3 to UAB. UAB would eventually score a touchdown to win by 10. UAB gave up 500 yards of total offense to Alabama State. And that's coming in to A.W. Mumford Stadium this week. And not only that, the culprit is for that? Andrew Bonney, the quarterback. This guy single-handedly beat Southern as a freshman at Texas Southern when he was at Texas Southern in his freshman year. That was at old Globe Life Stadium where the Rangers played baseball. Now they moved to a new stadium, and they made this into their old stadium into a football field. It was hot, too. Oh, my goodness, it was hot. And we were at the angle behind the end zone. Horrible. But he single-handedly beat Southern by himself because of his legs. And that was the first win for Texas Southern in a long time against Southern. He's coming in here to play with Alabama State. And this cat can move. Alabama State had over 500 yards in total offense this past weekend against UAB. If they don't stop this guy, he had almost 200 yards of rushing by himself, and he had over 300 yards in passing. Unbelievable. This guy is incredible. He's an incredible athlete. The thing that stopped him from being maybe on a bigger program, he's had 2 shoulder season injuries in a row. One at Texas Southern and last year at Alabama State. It's going to be a tough football game, and Southern better be damn ready, because I'm telling you right now, this is not going to be easy for them to play against this Alabama State team. I've said for the last few years, I think Alabama State has been the top 3 at least, 2 of those years. Now, Southern owns a 7-3 record in the last 10 games against them, but Alabama State won in the season opener 2 years ago in 23 in Montgomery. Close game. But last year, Alabama State barely lost to Jackson State without Andrew Body. In fact, their first three quarterbacks went out. They were on their fourth-string quarterback when they played Jackson State, and they almost won that game. They lost by 3, where Jackson State dominated against Southern in the regular season, and they dominated against Southern in the SWAC championship game. Alabama State was close. I think FAMU was, third best team last year because they beat Southern pretty convincingly, too, in Tallahassee. And I think Southern was fourth. Now, hopefully, Southern has a talent to return to get there close. But they got to be together. It doesn't matter how good a talent you've got. If you don't put it together, and right now their defense is not communicating with each other. They're having bad angles. They're missing a lot of tackles. They did better in the missed tackle department this week. But offensively, they've got to get better. Because right now, what Alabama State's going to do, what I would do as a defensive coordinator, I'd load the box. I'd have 8 guys in the box. You got to beat us on the pass. And I don't think you have a quarterback that can beat us on the pass. And that's been the MO for Southern for the last few years. I think since 2018. That's been the MO for Southern for the last few years. Not a good enough quarterback, a consistent quarterback. I think Cameron could throw a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. He can throw a great baseball. And he's got a great throw on the football. He's just put a better touch on it. And I think that Jalen Woods, out of the two, might be a little better in passing, but Cameron can fly down the football field. So, Jonathan, that's what I look at this. It's going to be a tough game. Alabama State coming in. It's a Pete Richardson Classic. It's the 7th annual Pete Richardson Classic. We're celebrating the 1995 National Championship team that Pete won. The 95 crew is going to be back in for that. They're going to have a big celebration, a big party. They're going to honor him on the field before the game. That's going to be great. Coach Pete, unbelievable guy, unbelievable coach. There's no question he'll be down on the field as well. His daughter's coming in from Cleveland, Ohio, to celebrate with her dad. I can't wait for that. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. And Southern's got a very tough game against Alabama State.
Yeah, Chris, and congrats to Coach Terrence Graves getting the first win of the season. I thought, both those fumbles really kept Valley in the game, especially the one that went for a touchdown. Shout out Cam Jefferson. The guy had one of the better chase downs you'll ever see. The ball was on the ground. Trey Holly fumbled. A defender picked it up and started running, and no one else noticed besides Cam Jefferson, who absolutely caught him at the 5-yard line, pushed him out of bounds. Southern defense actually held them to a field goal right there, so that was a huge turn for the Southern defense. It's coming down to quarterback play for me, Chris. Can they be more consistent? Obviously, it was a shame to see Woods go down with that injury. I did have a chance to look at the instant replay a bunch of times. We actually, I'm a producer, editor for the Coach Terrence Graves show. And I know Southern fans aren't going to want to hear this, but I did not think it was a dirty hit. Jalen Woods went to slide very late. It was unfortunate. He was going down right at the time he was getting tackled by a linebacker who outweighed him by 60 pounds. He tried to make the tackle. Unfortunately, his helmet did catch him right under his chin, which sent that head flying back. Unfortunately, you saw the rest. A scary scene. I was happy to hear that Jalen Woods is going to be okay. But, yeah, I thought Cam McCoy came in, did a pretty good job, had a nice touch on the ball. Besides that long touchdown for Valley at the end of the game, I thought Southern dominated this football for the most part. But Alabama State's going to be a much better football team than Valley. It is going to be a tough task for Southern. They're going to be at home. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Of course, you mentioned the Pete Richardson Classic. Had a chance to actually sit down and interview or record an interview with Coach Pete with Todd Sterling. That'll be on the Jaguar Football Show Facebook. So, going to be a great game this weekend, great crowd. Coach Terrence Graves' team is expecting to compete for the SWAC and make that run at the Black College National Championship. So it's going to start this weekend. Got to buckle it up tight, Chris, because both these teams want to be very physical at the line of scrimmage. So who's going to be able to run the football with authority is going to dictate the tempo and who comes out on top, in my opinion.
Yeah, since Terrence Graves has been at Southern, they're 10-0 when they score over 20 points. 20 points is the magic number. 10-0. I know for coaches that might not be, oh, come on. That's just a stat. They say stats for losers, but at the same time, but when the game is over, what do? They look at the stats. They grab the stat sheet. So it's not just for losers, brother. 10-0 when they score over 20 points. They're 9-3 when they rush for over 100 yards as a team, and they're 5-0 when opponents rush under 100 yards. So that's something you have to look at. And they're 4-1 under Coach Graves at A.W. Mumford Stadium. But this is a different Alabama State team. Right now, the way they played against UAB, now the only thing is UAB had a lot of yardage against them. They had 520. I think UAB finished with 513. Had over 1,000 yards of total offense in the game with both of these teams. How crazy is that? So, and defense is usually what gets them good. It's been their stronghold for Eddie Robinson Jr. They've had a good defense. But right now, offense, they're very good. Southern's going to have to play lights out. And to me, if I had to choose between offense and defense, defense is a little bit further ahead and better than the offense right now. So if the defense can play good and contain body, which nobody has yet, that guy, when his first game last year in the Orange Blossom Classic, he had well over 100 yards rushing already when he went down with a shoulder injury. That kid is incredible. I'm telling you, they're going to have to have a spy on him, and then more than they might have to have two. They might have to have three spies, Jonathan.
So, Chris, I got to ask you, what were you thinking sitting almost on the roof in Ibita? What is it, in the woods, Mississippi? So what were you thinking when Valley lined up for that first fake punt where they had two punters go back there? Have you ever seen that before?
No,
in
at
your
their own
entire
20-yard line.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Two punters. Yeah, there's two punters back there, Coach. That's okay. We planned it out that way.
Yeah, and it was fourth down and what, 9 or 8? I was like, what the hell? Thank you, Terrell Buckley, the head coach of Valley. That's a good way to get fired right there in the first game. Are you kidding me? That's a good point, Jonathan. I mean, when I said that, I'm like, are you kidding me?
I've seen a bunch of different fakes, a couple different fake punts. In fact, I saw one fake punt where they had a gunner run straight across the line. It worked out well, but I've never seen somebody put out two punters at the 20-yard line, staying shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to fake out the defense. One of y'all is going to run one way, one's going to run the other way.
And then they also had, so on fourth downs, I think it happened 3 times.
Yeah,
they brought out the third-string quarterback.
Yeah, the quick kick.
And did a quick kick. Number 15 came in to do the quick kick. That's not faking anybody. You knew that was going to happen. Coach Pete kept going, they're going for it. So, Coach, that's the quarterback, number 15, third-string quarterback. He's going to quick kick it.
One of them got blocked.
Yeah, one of them got blocked. Again, that stuff, you can lose a game. I mean, you can lose a lot of games like that. So Terrell Buckley has never been a head coach in college football. Only been a head coach one time for Orlando in the XFL. You better get that straight, brother, because I'll tell you what, like what was Glanville said about the NFL, stand for not for long. You won't be there for long, bro. You won't get used to the good catfish they got over there at Valley and Enabina, Mississippi, and near Greenwood. That's some great catfish over there. They got tons of catfish forms out there. You won't get used to that because you will get beat, and I'm telling you what, you'll get run out of town. Even in Little Valley, I promise you that. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the Saints getting ready for their first game against the Cardinals of Arizona. Do they have a chance to win? We'll find out coming up as we talk sports with me, Chris Powers, Jonathan in the house, Martin's in the house, back after this time out right here on Pelican Sports TV.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouget. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouget today.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Growing up in this office, I saw what made it different. My dad knew every name, every story. He made people feel comfortable even when they were nervous. And I learned something important. When you treat people like family, they remember it. That's how we've grown, through referrals, relationships, and real trust. That's the kind of care I believe in, and it's exactly what you'll find here at Fruget Family Dentistry. Fruget Family Dentistry, rooted in family, focused on you. Call or visit frugetfamilydentistry.com to schedule.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Chris Powers talking sports with me, Chris Powers, here at Pelican Sports TV. Jonathan in the house, and Jonathan, Saints and the Cardinals start this week. NFL, baby, yes. Thursday night starts with the Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys. And a friend of ours, a big Dallas Cowboy fan, said Dallas is going to beat the Eagles. No. Could happen. You never know. You never know. And Eagles usually don't. Soriano doesn't put 2 seasons good together. So who knows? Who knows? But anyway, back to the Saints and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are actually favored in this game. I think it's 7.5 at start. I think maybe close to 6, maybe 6.5, maybe close to 7 points. Favored in this game in the Superdome. I mean, come on. Where's the old days that we used to be favored in the Dome? Nobody could beat us in the Dome. Rattler's going to have to play smart. He's 0-6 as a starter. That's from last year. He's going to have to play smart. Can't be stupid, but he didn't. I mean, this guy didn't win. This guy did not win at all for the preseason. I mean, he did not beat out Shuck at all. It's just they went with Rattler because Rattler has more experience, and they say in practice Rattler played a little better than Shuck did. This scares me. Kamara's going to have to play great. Remember, they don't have Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's a Swiss Army knife that makes every defensive coordinator sleepless at night before they face him, because they don't know what they're going to do. You got Taysom Hill and you got Alvin Kamara. What the hell? You have one running one way, one running the other way. Which one's going to get it? And you can have somebody run up the middle. So with that being said, no Taysom Hill. He's on the PUP list until at least week 4. The defense, to me, has to play lights out in this game. They got to play good, and that's the better part of their team is their defense. There's no question. They have a good chance to be a good defense. They got a good defensive coordinator, and you have better players on defense than you do offense. Demario Davis, when he's playing, look out. That guy is the best in everything he does. With the Honey Badger not being there hurt him, I'm not talking about just play-wise. I'm talking about leadership-wise. That's why they say Reed is doing that right now. Came over from Kansas City. So with that being said, the defense has to play lights out because Kyler Murray is going to run. He is the best scrambling quarterback outside of Lamar Jackson. This kid is great. A little short guy, can throw the ball well, but if you blitz him the right way, I think hopefully we got to get a good defensive scheme on him because you don't want to see him hitting Harrison Jr., who didn't have a great season last year. I think he's overhyped too, kind of like Arch Manning was. And we'll talk about that later on. But I think that, first of all, you can't let that happen, Murray happen. Now, they made improvements on their defense for Arizona to make them a better defense because last year one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. They play in a very tough division in the NFC West. But they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, so they're going to have to play better to win more this season. Offensively, not much change, but Kyler Murray was hurt most of last year. He'll be back this year. And like I said, we got to hope that we can contain him, no question about that. All right. So, Jonathan, what's your take on the Saints in Arizona? What's your thoughts?
Oh, Chris, I'm certainly excited that LSU won this past weekend and started off 1-0.
Changing the channel.
There are going to be a lot of South Louisiana football fans that are going to be living and dying on LSU this year. I don't know if there's a lot of expectations for the Saints. Look, it's a tough task. Kyler Murray presents unique challenges as a quarterback. Like you mentioned, his scrambling ability, very fast. And this is a team that is looking to prove something. He was injured last year. A guy that feels he's a premier quarterback in this league with a very talented offense and a great play caller on the other side of the football. So with all that being said, the Saints have to play close to perfect, and the defense, as you mentioned, has to lead this team. Got to get some turnovers, give the Saints extra possessions. Can't have big breakdowns in the secondary, which is why you're going to miss a player like the Honey Badger, veteran guy who's seen all the offensive linemen that you could possibly imagine, knows how to line up 111. Justin Reed's going to step up big. Julian Blackman's going to step up big. They're going to have young guys that also play well for the Saints. Quincy Riley, for example, is a rookie they drafted this past offseason. He's going to get a lot of playing time very early for the Saints. Stutzman, the linebacker, guy that I really like, he's also going to get a lot of playing time. Big Vern, the defensive tackle, he's going to get a lot of playing time early. So it's going to be a much younger team this season than the Saints fans have used to been seeing. That might be a good thing. Saints have a very old roster. Some of these guys kind of wear out, get injured. Slow down towards the end of the season. So hopefully this youth can provide some surge for the Saints. Don't just expect the same old with Spencer Rattler. I understand he went 0-6, but this Kellen Moore, this guy's a special play caller. He's very creative offensively. He's going to draw up some great designs. Him and Doug Nussmeier are going to dial up some good schemes to attack the pressure, to attack the defense for Arizona. So, don't write them off just yet, especially early in the season. Defenses don't have tape on what their alignment's going to be, what plays they have tendencies of running in whatever situation. So, have a chance to catch some teams off guard, especially in the first 2 weeks. Unfortunately, last year, Saints fans saw the Saints offense put up monster numbers in the first 2 weeks and then definitely go off a cliff. So there is cause for excitement, Chris, but I'm not getting my hopes too high with the Hoodats. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. So thank goodness the LSU Tigers went 1-0 because I think the Saints are starting off this season with an L.
That's like one of my friends would ask before the Saints got good with Drew Brees. What do you think the Saints going to do? Like he would change the subject. Man, the weather's nice, isn't it? All right, they've got Arizona as a 79% chance of winning this game. I think that if the Saints have a winnable shot, this is the one, and we'll talk about that. We'll do pick'ems coming up next and more as we continue talking sports with me, Chris Powers, Jonathan in the house right here on Pelican Sports TV.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouget. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouget today.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, welcome back. Yeah, Jonathan and I were talking off air. Alabama State was 15 out of 16 on third down conversions. 15 out of 16 in that game against UAB. Wow. That's video game material. Like you said, Drew Brees on a Sunday night football material. All right, time to pick them. Before we get going, it's time to pick them. You were 3-2 last week. I was 2-3. Paul Feinbaum was even worse.
Hey, Lee Corso, though, did pretty well.
Lee Corso nailed it.
Only missed on Notre Dame, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, he nailed that one, but he was absolutely unbelievable. It started out with Arizona and the Saints. I got the Saints winning this game. I think if any game is a winnable game for them, it won't be next week for the 49ers. It's this week with Arizona. I think Arizona, I mean, because it's in the Dome, maybe. I'm going to go with the upset. I think Saints beat Arizona.
I love the optimism, and I completely agree. This is the more winnable game for the Saints. Unfortunately, I'm picking Arizona by 7, even if it's at the Dome.
By 7?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to put down C, Jonathan, for Arizona. All right, how about that? Last week, 4 top 10 matchups. This week, 1. And that one is Michigan at OU, Oklahoma. That's the game of the week. That's going to be a pretty good game. I've got Oklahoma all the way on this one.
I like Oklahoma as well, but for some reason, I'm taking Michigan. Maybe it's because Dave Portnoy got invited onto the Big Ten Network. I'm not sure what it is, but give me the Wolverines to run the football, be very aggressive, and try to take the football out of that Brett Venables offense.
So we had a Lee Corso, not so fast.
That's it.
All right, Louisiana Tech at LSU. I got Tech upsetting LSU.
Yeah.
I got LSU beating Louisiana Tech and the Bulldogs. If LSU keeps their foot on the gas, I think they're usually going to win this game, obviously, pretty well. They can't struggle like they did against Nicholls State. That's what Coach Kelly said in the press conference this week. I got LSU winning this game easy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pick-your-score kind of game for LSU. Just hope everybody stays healthy. I'm taking the Tigers at least by 21 points.
All right, here we go. Dallas and Philadelphia for Thursday night football. Dallas comes in without Micah Parsons. There's question marks on that team. Philadelphia wins the game.
And I want to agree with you, Chris. I really do. Losing Micah Parsons after you lose Luka Doncic, it's been a horrible 8 months for Dallas sports fans. I got to go with the Cowboys with something to prove. The team rallies together. You lose their leader. Somebody steps up. Dak was injured last year. He's the highest-paid quarterback in the league. Give me the Cowboys in a very close game. Give me the Cowboys by 3.
See, what he's doing is, like the big dog like to do on ESPN, he's trying to put more distance between me because we've only agreed to one game, and that's Tech and LSU. So he's trying to put distance to me, or I might put distance to him. I don't know what's going to happen. Here we go. Tampa at Atlanta, the final one, because there's really no really good games in college football this week. Really is boring. So Tampa Bay at Atlanta. What say you on this one?
Give me the Bucks. Baker Mayfield has turned into one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Of course, the Bucks have won the NFC South 3 years in a row. They kind of understand the opponents, the quarterback, the offense been together for a while. Veteran leadership on that team. Give me the Bucks by 7 over the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Atlanta could be an improved team this year. They started out early leading the NFC South, but until somebody knocks out Tampa, and Tampa didn't lose a lot of players, I think Tampa wins this game, so you and I agree on 2 of the games. Is there trouble in Alabama? It seems like we talked about this several weeks ago, how people were going nuts over Alabama. Paul Feinbaum had them winning the national championship. When are people going to say Nick Saban's gone? He's not there anymore. Did you know that? Did everybody else get the memo? He's not there anymore. Now, DeBoer will be a good coach, I think. Will he be as good as Brian Kelly? It takes time. Look at Kirby Smart, took forever to do it. Dabo Swinney took forever to build Clemson up. Ryan Day took forever to win a championship at Ohio State. It takes time, and fans today just don't have the patience. Maybe because of the season tickets, but usually people that buy season tickets are not the ones that are complaining on the radio. They're losers. You understand? They sit on the couch eating Cheeto Puffs. So let me tell you something. Again, Kelly DeBoer's not going anywhere. Like Paul Feinbaum said, and that's absolutely true, he has a $70 million buyout. With that being said, they don't have oil money in Alabama. They just got a space program in Huntsville. And by the way, this is crazy. Did you hear about this? Huntsville has passed Birmingham up in population. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely crazy. And somebody has to explain that to me. Birmingham is a bigger TV market than New Orleans. However, when it comes to population, Baton Rouge dominates Birmingham. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I guess it's a circumference and all around, but still, at the same time, they have more people than New Orleans. It's crazy. But anyway, look, Alabama will win this week, but remember, The first big upset for Nick Saban when he was at Alabama, who was it against? UL Monroe.
That's right.
And they're playing him this
War
week.
Eagle. That's
UL
right.
Monroe goes into Tuscaloosa and plays against. Now they're going to win, but I don't. And the way they played, they were out physical. They were outplayed. Period. Alabama looks like they're in trouble. Now DeBoer says no, we have a good team, but they look like they're in trouble. Speaking of Michael Parsons, we just talked about that. How about this? Back trouble for Michael Parsons. May have to get epidural shots in his spinal column to play in the game, to suit up. Dallas saying we didn't hardly know that. And obviously Green Bay didn't know that. But there's nobody's saying anything as far as the deal's going to be taken off the table. Micah Parsons is going to be playing in Green Bay. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's unfortunate you have 2 first-round picks and an all-pro player to get somebody who's going to be the face of your franchise on the defense side of the football. I think he's going to be okay. I wouldn't be shocked if Micah Parsons might have received an epidural shot before while he was in the Big D. But, heck of a player. The whole game of football is better when he's playing. The guy's a generational talent. Might be the best pass rusher we've seen since LT. Can do a whole lot on the football field, so hope he's going to be all right.
Yeah, me too. NFLPA got a new interim president, and he said, 18 games in the NFL? I don't think so. He didn't want it. Roger Goodell wants it. He says, no way. And I think if they do go to 18 games, and even with 17, then if you're going to change that and change more, then you've got to go up on the roster. You got to stop doing a 53-man roster then. You got to have at least 60, 65, because you got to have depth to go that long. 18 games is a long time. And that's not including the playoffs, guys. 18 regular season games. You take off 2, or you take off another game with preseason. And again, that's people that don't know the game. To know that preseason is important to know how a player plays in the game, not practice. You can have practice people all the time. But how do they play in the game with pressure? Not only just a quarterback, but everybody. 18 games may be shut down. Roger Goodell may not get that what he wished for, Jonathan.
Well, that remains to be seen, Chris. Some might just have to cycle in another NFLPA president. We never know.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, Ohio State deserves the number 1 ranking in right now in college football. They beat a number 1 team in the nation. That shouldn't have been number 1. These preseason rankings don't mean nothing, but they should be the number 1 team. I think Penn State, they played very well against a nobody, still should be number 2 right now. LSU number 3. However, get this. Ohio State doesn't have a big game until October the 11th. Penn State, I don't know. I didn't look at their schedule to see when they've got a tough game, but I'll say this. LSU has got 2 more top 15 teams coming up, including next week with Florida, and then 2 weeks after that at Ole Miss. And if LSU wins both of those games, I got LSU number 1 in the AP poll. Jonathan, what say you?
Well, I completely agree, Chris. What they put on tape against Clemson. Clemson could have been number 1, 2, or 3 in a lot of polls. Ohio State at home, they beat Texas. That was a good win, but Texas wasn't the ball club they're going to be at the end of the year. They won't even be comparable. So they'll be much improved. I agree. You beat that Florida team handily. You leave this month of September 5-0. LSU, I think, deserves the number 1 spot.
And same people, the rat poison, like Nick Saban said, the same damn people that say that LSU should fire Brian Kelly, now saying they're the best team in football. Now the same pressure's on Arch Manning. Give me a break. Arch Manning's going to be a good quarterback. Ryan Day said that. If you don't think that he's going to be a good quarterback, you're out of your mind. We'll see you next week right here on Talkin' Sports with me, Chris Powers, and Jonathan. Bye.
Rocks and fires. Tommy White with it. Johnson heads to the ball.